Welcome to Key Tech. Please describe this channel if you are interested in today's video. What is wrong with South Korea's economy? South Korea, which has always been regarded as one of the four Asian tigers, is facing an unprecedented industrial crisis under the impact of the global economic trend, especially its pillar industry, semiconductors. Samsung, the industry giant that was once unshakable, is now struggling. However, the cause of all this seems to be attributed to the bad decisions made by South Korea in the global political game. Let's talk about the core first. As one of the world's largest semiconductor manufacturers, Samsung once controlled half of the global chip market. However, as South Korea imposed semiconductor industry sanctions on China under pressure from the United States, this once indestructible fortress began to collapse. In the Pyeongtaek factory, Samsung's 4nm, 5nm, and 7nm chip factories, used to produce high-end process technology, have significantly reduced their production capacity, and some workshops have even closed 30%. This figure may rise to 50% by 2024. Semiconductors are not cabbage, and capacity reductions mean that the focus of the global chip supply chain is shifting. Samsung's large-scale production cuts are simply ruining its own future. In addition, the original continuous orders became a luxury without a connection with the Chinese market, and a chaos in the global chip supply chain began. The most terrible thing is that China's chip industry is rising in strides. As a representative Chinese enterprise, Huawei has begun to master core technologies in 4nm and 5nm processes in just a few years, and has successfully designed and produced high-quality chips. Through the dual breakthroughs in the supply chain, Huawei has also returned to the high-end mobile phone market, which has put pressure on Samsung. Even in the high-end market, Samsung is gradually losing its competitiveness. If you think that only the semiconductor industry has problems, you are wrong. South Korea's shipbuilding and automobile industries are also facing severe challenges. The once high-flying South Korean ship manufacturers now find themselves laggards in the market. In the past, they were able to get considerable orders by relying on technical barriers, but now, with the improvement of China's shipbuilding technology, large orders have flowed to Chinese shipyards. China has made rapid progress in the manufacture of large commercial ships and special ships in recent years, and its global market share has increased day by day. The cake it has taken is not only big, but also more and more. You have to know that South Korea once played an absolutely dominant role in the global shipbuilding market, but now, it is backward, passive, and watching customers turn to Chinese manufacturers, which has caused South Korea to have serious doubts about its future ship development. Not only that, South Korea's automobile industry is also hard to escape the storm. Chinese auto brands such as BYD have risen at a staggering speed around the world. In the past, South Korea's Hyundai Motor was still able to laugh at the world, but now it finds itself losing ground in the technology battlefield. Especially in electric vehicles and autonomous driving technology, the progress, speed and market share of brands such as BYD have made Hyundai Motor difficult. Even domestic consumers in South Korea are gradually turning to buying high-quality and low-priced Chinese cars. Samsung's crisis is obviously not a family affair. Its difficulties have directly triggered a chain reaction in the entire Korean economy. In order to cope with declining profits and adverse changes in the market environment, Samsung had to launch a wide-ranging layoff operation worldwide. It is understood that the scale of this layoff reached 30%, which means that tens of thousands of employees will lose their jobs. For ordinary Korean workers, who rely on Samsung for their livelihood, this is not just a problem of unemployment, but also a series of social problems. Everyone knows that Samsung is not just a big company. With its huge size and global influence, it is almost one of the pillar companies in South Korea. Data shows that Samsung's predicament will cause South Korea's GDP to fall by nearly 20%. This is not just a fluctuation of a number. It means that the pillars of the entire Korean economy are shaking. The social problems brought about by layoffs, GDP shrinkage, and soaring unemployment rates have made the Korean economy worse. Relying on manufacturing and export-oriented economic models, South Korea is increasingly finding itself trapped in the quagmire of competition in the global market, and it is difficult to stand out again. The challenges facing South Korea's manufacturing industry today go far beyond the scope of the two industries of semiconductors and manufacturing. It can be said that the economic structure of the entire country has begun to become unbalanced, especially the collaborative innovation capabilities of science and technology and manufacturing are constantly declining. Once the pillar industries collapse, South Korea may find it difficult to find effective substitutes in the short term, and its ability to pull other potential industries to fill the gap is also insufficient. At this time, South Korea, which relies on the export market, has to do its best to find a way out in the global competitive landscape. If South Korea wants to revive, it is obviously urgent to adjust its industrial strategy, reorganize its corporate structure, and re-explore the global market. However, the challenge is not limited to internal industrial adjustments. The rapid changes in the external global market have also put forward severe requirements for South Korea. Everyone knows that it is not easy to go against the current in the current competitive environment. In the context of the globalization of the semiconductor market, South Korea's standing in line between China and the United States has put the country's industrial policy into a passive position. It is not a matter of one day and one night to win back the Chinese market. Especially in the context of its own technology being slightly insufficient and Chinese companies, such as Huawei, pressing forward step by step, it is probably a difficult and uncertain process for South Korea to resume economic cooperation with China. The economy always pays attention to long-term interests, especially in the era of globalization. Whoever does not know how to cooperate will be eliminated. South Korea must now deeply reflect on the various mistakes in its industrial policies in recent years and reevaluate its international economic status and industrial layout. Facing the future, South Korea not only needs technological innovation, but also needs to find its own rhythm in the wave of globalization. While cooperating, it must not lose its core competitiveness.